Her sharp words sliced through me, asserting that I lacked the resilience her past partner had embodied. I stood frozen, not from concurrence or apathy, but because a weary, hidden part of me, tucked deep inside, finally relinquished its hold. It was a moment where silence thundered more powerfully than any outcry. We had just returned from her cousin's nuptials, and I was still clad in the rigid dress shirt she'd selected for me, despite my unease with formal wear. My tie, now wadded up in my pocket, felt like a shackle I'd narrowly evaded, and my head pulsed from feigning smiles and exchanging pleasantries with strangers who scarcely noticed my presence. I was scrolling through pictures on my phone when, unexpectedly, she spoke, still adorned in her elegant bridesmaid dress. "You're too soft," she declared. "I need someone with more fortitude, like Sebastian." I stiffened, not because his name was unfamiliar, it lingered like a persistent specter over our relationship, always hovering, always close, but because of her unwavering tone. It was firm, decisive, as though she'd compared me to him and reached an irrevocable verdict. Sebastian had certainty, she pressed on. He stood firm without hesitation. Crowds didn't unsettle him. He took charge. He wasn't so fragile. I met her eyes, not with fury or confusion, but with a muted detachment. This wasn't the first time she'd weighed me against him, but it was the first time her words bore such a conclusive edge, as if I were a decision she longed to retract. In that instant, I offered no defense. I didn't recount the myriad ways I'd supported her in ways he never had. I didn't mention how he'd left her sobbing in a desolate parking lot 3 years prior, or how I'd remained by her side until the early hours, comforting her through her anguish. Instead, I sat motionless, gazing at a woman who no longer viewed me as sufficient. Breakups don't always explode with shouting or slammed doors. Sometimes they commence with a single, hushed sentence that echoes relentlessly in your mind. That night, sleep eluded me. She lay beside me, her soft snores filling the space as though her words hadn't just fractured something vital between us. I stared at the ceiling, her phrase cycling endlessly in my thoughts, to soft. What did that even signify? That I refrained from raising my voice in rage? That I avoided conflict rather than escalating it? That I posed questions instead of feigning omniscience? Or was it because I forgave her when she flirted with a coworker and dismissed it as trivial? Or when she ridiculed my lack of dominance in front of her friends? I'd always believed compassion was a form of strength, as was patience. But in her eyes, perhaps those were weaknesses. The following morning, I brewed her coffee as I always did to sugars, almond milk, stirred with the handle because she despised spoons. She accepted it with a fleeting kiss on my cheek, as if the previous night's conversation had never occurred. I mustered a smile, but it was hollow. Somewhere between her cutting words and that first sip of coffee, a quiet determination had begun to form within me. I was done not with anger or dramatics, simply finished. In the days that followed, I observed her with a newfound clarity, as if seeing my partner for the first time. Every detail stood out. The way she scrolled through her phone during our meals, the subtle eye roll when I spoke of something meaningful to me, the way her laughter peeled more brightly at other men's humor than at mine. I realized it was never truly about Sebastian. It was about her concept of love, a contest of control, power, and dominance, a pursuit that exhilarated her. I'd never engaged in that contest, never desired to. She didn't seek a companion to evolve with. She craved someone to overpower her. And when you don't dominate someone like that, they begin to perceive you as inferior. The tipping point wasn't a heated dispute. It was a tranquil Wednesday evening. She lounged on the sofa, legs crossed, a glass of wine in one hand, her phone in the other, browsing Instagram. I entered the room with a modest suitcase, packed with just enough for a few weeks. She didn't notice at first. Then, offhandedly, she inquired, "Going somewhere?" I nodded. "Yes. Away. Permanently." Her eyes darted up. "What?" I didn't raise my voice. I didn't weep. I stood there, finally composed. "You said I was too soft," I said. "And for a moment, I believed you. But not for the reasons you think. I've been weak because I stayed, because I kept hoping you'd truly see me, because I diminished myself to make you feel grander." She let out a sharp, uneasy laugh. "You're being ridiculous." "No," I replied. "I've just been too slow." She followed me to the door, her voice growing louder. "You're blowing this out of proportion." "I didn't mean it like that." "You meant it precisely like that." I countered. And even if you didn't, what you truly meant is worse. She crossed her arms defensive. So, you're just fleeing? No, I said. I'm walking away. At last. She didn't cry or yell. She stood there, stunned, as though she'd never fathomed I'd be the one to depart. People like her never anticipate the quiet ones finding the resolve to leave. But we do, and when we go, we don't glance back. I stayed with a friend for a time, then found a serene place beyond the city. I rekindled old passions reading, cooking, rediscovering who I was before I contorted myself to fit her vision of a man. For the first few weeks, she sent messages, called a few times, saying things like, I didn't mean it, or why are you giving up so easily? Easily. Walking away from someone you once envisioned a future with is anything but easy. But it becomes necessary when staying means losing yourself. Her messages eventually ceased. Perhaps she moved on. Perhaps she didn't. I don't check. What matters is that I didn't leave because I was weak. I left because I finally discovered the strength to walk away from someone who never truly valued me. That night, when she proclaimed I wasn't enough, was the night I began to reclaim everything I was always meant to be, not for her, but for myself. And I've never looked back with regret.